Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen, and thank you for joining us for our Yorkshire Care Equipment Mental Health Masterclass for Healthcare Professionals. Thank you for coming around this afternoon. Got quite an exciting webinar for you, so thank you for being with us. So, just to quickly introduce myself, my name is Steve Coomer. I'm the National Business Development Manager for Yorkshire Care Equipment. It's my first time on one of these webinars on a topic that's very close to my heart. And certainly a topic that we at Yorkshire Care Equipment are certainly very aware of, are very keen to raise as often as possible. And certainly within the healthcare industry, we know just how important mental health can be, not just for the patients, but for those that are treating them as well. So very, very happy to be here. And just to give you a little more on Yorkshire Care Equipment, if this is your first time joining our webinars and the email address has been forwarded across, it's your first time talking to us, welcome. A little bit about us. It's coming up to our 50th birthday. Yorkshire Care Equipment will be 50 a little later on this year. We've been serving the healthcare sector, both public and private, as well as our retail side of the business for an awfully long time now. Our mission is to enhance quality of life. We try and do that in as many ways as possible, whether it's our customer service, our quality products and innovations in the market. And we're often keen to live by that mission statement as often as we can every day. We are used by over 19,000 healthcare professionals now. Again, both in the public and the private sector. We're trusted in hospitals and in trusts up and down the UK, and we're proud to work closely for and with them. And one thing that you might be interested to know is we often carry out joint assessments with experts like yourselves, the occupational therapists, physios, clinical leads. We work in tandem with you. We share our expert opinions so that we can come to the best conclusions for that of your patients. So it's quite a tailored service that we do offer. In terms of our core products, really split across two main areas. We are very much specialists, not generalists. We don't have catalogues of thousands of products. We have a core range across specialist seating. That's very much my area as a BDM, working closely with hospitals, hospices, care homes up and down the countryside, looking at specialist seating solutions, from the Lento care chair to the recently released bariatric Lento riser recliner. It's a core range that we're very proud of, full of innovations, full of quality products. And I urge anybody that isn't familiar with our core range to just check us out on the website, yorkshirecareequipment.com. And on the other side is our falls equipment, recognizing that an awful lot of the patients that we work with could be susceptible to falls. We have the Razor falls lifting chair, which I'm sure some of you, if not many of you, are familiar with. Again, for those that aren't, please feel free to have a look on our website for full specifications, and also the very innovative and first to market hip guard product. Again, details on our website for a look at that one. In terms of where you're going to find our products, essentially anywhere across the healthcare spectrum. So my role is predominantly working in acute foundations, wards, trusts, very much on the hospital side, as well as the ambulance services. We also, of course, work across care facilities, hospices and care homes up and down the countryside. Then, of course, private residences for our private retail customers. So anywhere where a specialist seating solution is needed is where you can find our products. So mental health, obviously, over the course of the pandemic and beyond, we hope there will be a continued and strengthened focus on the importance of mental health in the workplace. You only have to go onto social media just to see how important that is and how much of a focal point it's becoming. Long overdue, but certainly a good sight to see. There's so much attention being paid, and to say that spotlight's only shining brighter. However, one of the things that we thought when we were talking about the basis for a webinar was the importance of mental health within the healthcare industry, not just for patients perhaps coming in with those mental health issues, but also the people looking after them, you guys, that are working long, hard hours under prolonged periods of stress, One of the things that we would like to do with resources like this is to recognize the hard work and the stress that you are putting into your roles, but also to see if we can provide any tips, tricks, strategies, and in-depth insight into the importance of looking after your mental health and finding coping strategies and mechanisms and solutions to that in and indeed out of the workplace. Now, you guys that will have signed up via email or across LinkedIn, you may have had a slightly different agenda to the one we're about to have. Unfortunately, all things are subject to change. We had a speaker, Andrea Dodds, ready to come in and do the majority of this webinar. Everything was prepared for that, but unfortunately, Andrea is not able to attend today. So, as part of our mission statement and part of the resilience that we show here, we've had to very, very rapidly put an alternative agenda together, less than 24 hours to do so. But we're very, very pleased with what we have managed to achieve with that. I actually believe that the lineup that we have for you today is just as strong, if not more so, than that of the original agenda. So just following on from that, the new agenda for today is actually split into two. So we have a video that big Ian Donaghy, I don't know anybody that spends any amount of time on LinkedIn in and around mental health as a forum will have seen Ian's videos and material. What can I say about Ian? He's a bit of a force of nature, this man. Fantastically passionate, highly motivational, highly experienced, and a wonderful asset to today's webinar. And then Maisie McKenzie, a career professional in the healthcare industry, over 20 years amassed, and over 4 years as a mental health first aider. Absolutely thrilled to have Maisie come along and do a live talk for us all today. So something for us all to take away, I'm sure. But absolutely thrilled with this lineup, and I'm sure you guys are going to get some real benefits from it. So looking forward to it. So what I'm going to do is just play the video from Ian and enjoy.
My name's Ian Donaghy. I'm a filmmaker, a writer and a conference speaker. I hope you're not too busy for today. I hope I'm not getting in your way. I hope your to-do list isn't so enormous that sometimes you forget about the important stuff, that you forget about you. Sometimes you might not need a to-do list. You might need a to-don't list. Something where you just think, I'm not going to do that. I'm not going to do that, and I'm going to focus on the bits that matter. You're not too busy. You should never be too busy, because we need to focus on the important stuff. We need to focus on our family, our friends around us, our work colleagues, and most importantly, focus on you. Nothing's more important. You're not that busy. Here's 2 words, and I want you to remember these. You matter. You matter. Never forget that. When you get up on the morning, you think, oh, I'm exhausted. Well, you matter. To other people around you, you matter so much. And then you have to show other people how much they matter. And that sort of behaviour has got you through. Because today, I want to focus on us and on the difference that we can make in the lives of other people. By now, you must be completely zoomed out. Zoomed out! You must be sick of it. Do you know what? I'm wearing a very smart top half. I could be wearing anything down here, and you don't know. We've all been there. We've all tidied up the room just behind us, and we've all done that interested face where you go, mm-hmm, mm-hmm, mm-hmm. And if somebody comes up with a good answer, you all go, and then at the end, everybody waves inanely. Can you imagine going into a meeting in future and forgetting? And when somebody comes up with a good idea, you go, great idea, great idea. Or at the end of the meeting, you all just go, crazy. You're on mute. People all do that. Are you on? Are you on? And the thing is, you can't turn the sound off in a real meeting. If I was to tell you there was an unlimited supply of something in the world that's not going to affect the ozone layer, it's not going to cause climate change, but it's going to make things better. And it doesn't cost a penny. And if you give loads of it to somebody else, you don't have less. Strangely enough, you seem to have more and more and more to give away. And when you give it to somebody else, they then want to pass it on and give it to somebody else as well. Sounds like a magical thing. And it is. Because it's called kindness. It's a win-win. There's no draw. There's no lose. Everybody wins. So why aren't we doing it every single day? I'm talking about kindness. This isn't some old hippie idea from the 60s. This is 2021. This is 2022. This is from here on in. I don't care what job you have, what badge you wear, whatever your salary, you can impact on every single life you touch just by the things you say and the things you do. That's a big deal, and I hope it's not lost on you. Everywhere you look, there's stuff about mental health, and that's because now, more than ever, we need to be giving an eye to the people around us. We need to be keeping an eye on everybody around us. We need to be listening when people are silent. We need to think, right, whether it's in schools, whether it's in the workplace, whether it's at home, we need to be aware. If you have a dog at home, or you have a cat, you know how they behave. You spot those little changes. You can communicate with them. You learn a completely new language, and you listen intently, even when they're silent. We need to do that with those around us who aren't cats and dogs. When it comes to mental health, we can either be part of the problem or part of the solution. So let's be part of the solution. Every day, in everything we do and everything we say, we decide whether somebody is isolated or not, whether somebody is included or excluded. And if we don't include people, then we exclude people. There's no halfway house. We need to include everybody and make sure that everybody feels that they belong. But hey, there's the other people that say, do you know what? I don't want to be part of the problem and I don't want to be part of the solution. I tell you what, I'll just get on with my own life and I'll not intrude on anybody else's, and I'll just do nothing. I won't be part of the problem. I won't be part of the solution. I'll just do nought. And all they do is get on with their own knitting. Now, is that making the world better or worse? Because they think it's making no difference at all. Now, when we first arrive on this spinning rock and we're here for 70 or 80 years, we've got to think, why are we here? Because we're maybe not here for us. I think we're here for the impact we have on other people. And I'd like to think that we'd leave this place in a better state than we found it. But if you do nothing, the world is still spinning. Standards change. In 1983, the Thriller video was the best ever piece of choreography ever. And now, in 2021, if I do that, I look like a dad at a wedding. Things have changed. If you do nothing, think about your children and your children's children, and think about the world you're going to leave behind. Is that a gift they'd love? Or would they ask you if you still had the receipt? So, let's go back in time. Now, as you can see, I haven't got any special effects, so what I need you all to do, and if we all do it, we're just going to go back in time, like in films and that. Are you ready? Yeah, pretty homemade. It's New Year's Eve. It's 2019. You've all had a bit too much to drink. And we're all there, if you can all cross your arms, and we're all there. And nobody knows the words, but they never have known the words, and they think, I should learn the words for next year, but they never do. And they think, it's going to be a great year, can't wait, can't wait. I'd have enjoyed that so much more. I'd have danced so much more heartily if I'd have known that in 12 weeks' time, the world was going to stop. It'll never happen. What? Stopped. Shops shut. Pubs closed. Stay indoors. No Coronation Street. No Emmerdale. What? All the hairdressers would close and everybody would find out what colour your hair really is. You realise that the guys that worked in the office didn't have brown hair. They had just for men brown hair. The theatre's closed. The show mustn't go on. And the only place you had to get a beer was the fridge. We entered a world of furlough. Nobody had heard of it unless you'd done A-level history. We had to do homeschooling. Excuse me, can I go to the toilet, please? One of my friends made his children wear uniform every day. Nasty piece of work. And how many of you were dreadful at homeschooling? Shocking. People said, well, algebra was different when I did it at school. Yes, Mum, but 8 7s were always 56 and they were never 54. None of us could remember where apostrophes went. And as for an active and a passive noun, well, I'll let you into a secret. Not even the teachers know what they're about. You never signed up for COVID-19. You never signed up for any of it, and yet you've had to go through it. Together, alone. And as soon as it hit, everybody all over the country thought the same thing. Which of course stands for family, friends, and self. Because they were the 3 things we needed to focus on. These were unprecedented times. In fact, the word unprecedented was used an unprecedented amount. We were sailing on uncharted waters. Nobody, no matter what position you had the answer. Who's got any answers? Have you got an answer? It was like we were all sitting in exam and nobody knew the answers. Not even the teachers. We entered the world of next slide, please. It's probably just another flu. It'll be out of here in 2 weeks. It'll be fine. It's just another bong in the news. It's happening somewhere else in the world. It's not going to come here, surely. And then it arrived. We had to work from home. Robinson Crusoe's on our own desert islands. And the only messages in a bottle you would get would be via email or a text message or an occasional Zoom. Now we realised the value of people. So many people felt alone with no bridge to the mainland. So we had to create those bridges to make people feel involved. This was a whole new challenge that we had to face together. In times like this, sometimes people focus on me. Me, and don't think about others. But I don't think people will forget how we've behaved during this time. There are people who've shown their true colours. People who've shown their unkindness, their selfishness, but they are the other people who've shown you just how 100% pure kind they are. And you will never, ever forget the impact they've had on your life. People who say things like, can I get mine first? Don't tell me what you're going to earn. Don't tell me where you're going to live or the car you're going to drive or the holidays you're going to go on. Tell me, who are you going to help? Because 100 years from now, people aren't going to be bothered about where you lived, the car you drove, or whatever. They're going to care about the impact that you have made on others. You've focused on your well-being and other people's well-being. Because people will remember how you've behaved during this tough time. They'll not forget. So let's not focus on mental health, and let's maybe focus on mental wealth and how we can deposit in other people's accounts, how we can make today a better day for the people around us. So if people are having a tough time, if we all look after one another and give an eye to one another, people aren't going to have a tough day. They might have tough moments, but you'll have caught them before they fall. So you can invest in other people's mental wealth. See the clues there? Look at the words mankind, womankind, humankind. It's not human unkind. It's not human selfish. It's not human use your head as a rung on the ladder so I can look down on you. It's called humankind. It's in all of us. And we've seen the difference that your kindness has made on everybody around you. And that is why we're celebrating it today. See, you see it all the time. It's cool to be kind, they say. Oh, it's cool to be kind. Hashtag be kind. Hashtag kindness matters. Everyone's tapping away on their phones with little memes and saying, you can be lots of things in this world, but please be kind. I tell you what, rather than spend your time doing that, don't talk about it. be about it. Kindness isn't a hashtag. Kindness is a way of life. Don't talk about it, be about it, and make it part of you. Make it so it's written through you like Blackpool Rock. For 18 years, I was a school teacher. I used to teach people with learning disabilities and behavioural problems. I worked for the Home Office and did some pretty gritty jobs. But at the end of every day, a bell would go. And that bell would say, "We're done, we're finished, we've had a lovely day, there you go home." Unfortunately, for the last 2 years, the bell hasn't rung. You've been at home. You don't really know when the day starts, and you're not really sure where lunchtime is, and you're not really sure when it finishes. See, switching off has been a problem. The bell didn't go. It didn't tell you when to stop work and when to start work. You just kind of worked in an open prison where you could come and go as you pleased, but strangely, you just kept working because work was what you had. You never had the holidays, you never had the distractions, you never had all these other things. You were there working really long hours. It's very hard to switch off. Sometimes the best you can do is push standby. But standby isn't off. And that's why we need to look after ourselves. I wonder what time the earliest email you've sent is. I'm wondering what is the latest you've replied to an email. Perhaps we need to switch off a bit. And if we send an email at a strange time because it suits us, just stick on it. I've sent this email because it suits my timing. I don't expect a reply now. Send a reply when it's convenient for you. Let's make work fit in with us, and we'll fit in with work. Because we'll get the best work and we'll get the best out of everybody if we all treat each other with a little bit of respect for ourselves and our time, our families and our lives. Work used to be a place you go to. Now it's a thing you do. We've lost the cement between the bricks. We've lost the jokes. We've lost the banter. We've lost the talking about the football last night, or what was on telly, or what film you went to see, or whether you thought that James Bond film was any good. We've lost that. The water cooler moments are gone if there isn't a water cooler. We've lost that spoonful of sugar to help the medicine go down. So we need to appreciate and realise just how important those little interactions are at work, because they stop work feeling like work. So if ever you're feeling isolated, remember, you can help you. Because if you're stuck there with four walls, always remember, the key to the lock is on your side of the door. I want you to think how acts of kindness throughout your life have changed you. Because life is a big game of snakes and ladders, and some of those snakes we just can't avoid. But we meet people in our lives who are like ladders, and they get you to a place that you couldn't believe. And they might see something in you that you never saw in yourself. They might give you belief in yourself, and they might give you relief if you're worried or upset about something. And that's what we can do. If you all do this, the difference will be incredible. Without knowing it, something you've done in your past might have transformed somebody's present and their future. Never ever underestimate the power of your kindness. So now, the power of thank you has never been so important. Those 8 letters, there you go. Those 8 letters make all of the difference. Those 8 letters show somebody that they are appreciated. They show them, I've done something right. And it doesn't matter what age you are. If you're a little lad or a little lass or whatever, or whether you're 98, if someone says, do you know what? That chocolate cake's magnificent. Thank you very much. Thank you very much for that. That was wonderful. You did a top job. We love that. We've always loved that. It doesn't go out of fashion, thank you. And if you are appreciated, you'll run through a brick wall for somebody. You'll have that ownership. There's no employees when you're thanked. There's nobody just clocking in, doing the job, clocking out, going home. If you are thanked and you are appreciated, you'll run through every brick wall. You'll always do more. You'll always throw in more. Because it won't be a job. It'll be a labour of love. Because you'll get ownership. that togetherness, where you run alongside people, where you look to one side, you look to the other and think, well, she's fantastic, I've got to be as good as her. She's amazing, I've got to be as good as her. He's an amazing leader, I'll do anything. Do you know what? He's new to the office. We need to make sure that we bring him through and we develop him because he's got so much potential. Just imagine if we were all on the same side. Imagine if the world got rid of all the sea. We'd all live in the same place. All the same side. All kicking the same way. All wanting the same things. No them and us. Only us. Imagine. Because we want kindness to be the next pandemic. And nobody will be looking for a vaccine for that. So how can you change someone's day? Quite easily. A little message, a little text, a little email, just something that just shows you that you know they're there and that you appreciate that they're there, and to show them that they matter. So after today, I'd like you to think. Add an extra step in your walk. And just that little extra thought and think, who's got me through this? Who's made me feel valued? Who's been these people that have appreciated me? And I'd like you to contact them. Send them an email. Send them a text. Tell them how much they've impacted on you in a tough time. Tell you what, why not go even better? Why not put pen to paper? When's the last time you wrote a letter? When's the last time you received a letter? Imagine getting a letter through the post and someone saying, I'd have really struggled with this. You have got me through this. You have been amazing. People need to know how amazing they are. Because do you know what? They'll not be less amazing. They'll be more amazing for more people. And everybody will benefit from this. It will spiral out of control. Can you imagine? You can start this ball rolling. So think, who have been your ladders? Who has given you belief and who has given you the relief that you needed? So don't be too busy. You help others and others will help us. Because there are two groups of people now. There are the helpers. We all know the helpers. I look after all of my friends. And then there are the helped. And so long as the helpers know who the helped are, and the ones who need the help, ask for the help. And give the helpers an opportunity to make an impact on their lives. Everybody wins. Because if you are helped, you feel so much better. But if you have helped somebody, you get a feeling that's so warm and so beautiful that all you want to do is help more and more and more people. During this time, we've seen community come together. Almost like wartime. There was an old man up the street, 82 years old. He was always a nice bloke. He used to say hello. But now he's George. And I know everything about George, and George knows everything about me. And he's now not just a, hello, morning, weather's nasty. No. He's somebody I sit down and have a cup of tea with. Steve, who's 75 at the top of the street, who was recently widowed. He ain't just some bloke that used to be an art teacher. I know all about his motorbikes. I know all about his pottery. And I've even got 4 of his mugs that he's made especially for us downstairs. And our tea tastes delicious. That's what we found. We found community. In all this darkness, we found some light. There we were in this tunnel, but there seemed to be shards of light. Things happening, thinking, we've never done that before. We've been a bit busy for that. And I think we need to filter out things that we didn't like, the impurities that we didn't like in the world before, and think, what can we learn from this? What can we gain from this? What have we got that's made us feel better? And then in this new normal that we create, take the good bits that we loved before, take the newfound beautiful bits, merge them together, and filter out some of those nasty impurities that really didn't make our days better. We need to not return to how it was. That's not what we want. We want this new normal to be a better normal. We want it to be better for all of us. for our friends, for our family, for ourselves, for the people we work with. We want work to be better. We want everything to be better. Our relationships with customers. We need to appreciate people and show people how much they matter, because this time has shown us what matters and what doesn't. It's filtered out so much. During this time, you've seen how important community is. It's such an untapped resource. After all of this, we need to realise the impact we can make as a big community, because nothing is more powerful than people with a common cause. People who really believe in something. Nothing is more powerful than the power of people. We need to look at the people around us. Spot potential. Believe in them. Develop them. Because do you know what? If somebody believes in you, you start to believe in it yourself. And then amazing things happen. I hope we remember everything of the last 2 years. But I hope our children forget. So remember, you can't change the world, but you can change your little bit. And if the person to your left can change their little bit, and the person to the right can change their little bit, we've all got this like little patchwork quilt. And if all those patchworks of changing our little bit get sewn up together, we've got a beautiful warm quilt that's going to keep us warm, and it's going to look after us. So, when we get away from this virtual world and we start wearing long trousers again and shining shoes and all that sort of thing, what I want you to do is remember, the next time you see somebody who you haven't seen in real life for ages, please don't say, "Bah, you've put on some timber. Whoa, goodness me, she looks a bit old, doesn't she? She looks a bit old. Look, oh, your hair's grey." Tell you what, don't do that. Try this one instead. Good to see you. Missed you. We need more of that. Somehow, you've managed to make your customers feel valued without being able to be in the room with them, without being able to be close to them, without being able to have those wonderful interactions. You've still shown your customers how much they matter. So I hope you've still got the volume on and that you've not put me on to mute and you're watching Loose Women. I hope we haven't just ticked a box. I hope you've realised how incredible you are. If somebody had told you how hard this was going to be, if somebody had told you what you'd have had to do, how you'd had to adapt, we've learnt so much. Our IT skills must have developed 5 or 7 years. I was like Buck Rogers in the 18th century. But now we all use technology in a way that we could only have dreamt of 2 years ago. We've used this time as a chrysalis, learning, changing, developing, and at the end of it all, when we've put in the time, we've learnt new skills, we've been there for one another, and then what we've done is we've created this butterfly. And now is your time to fly. So, we're not just here for us. We're here for everybody who's in our team, everybody who's our friend, everybody who's our family. We're kind of here for everybody else. We are everybody else's +1. And what an important +1 you are. Because you've been not only valuable, you've been invaluable. You never find out how good a ship is on a mill pond. Anything can float on a pond. But these have been choppy seas, and I tell you what, this looks like a pretty good seafaring vessel to me. Throughout this time, you haven't just survived. Many of you have thrived. You've upskilled, you've learned new things, you've helped other people. This could be the most important time for many people. A time to reflect, a time to think, right, how can I make a difference? We focused on our well-being and other people's well-being. And if we continue to focus on that, we will all feel the benefit. People have even rolled up their sleeves and gone and done deliveries. Nobody has said, "Oh, well, that's not my job. That's not in my job description." Together, you've made a difference. Together, you've been the difference. So feel proud of what you've achieved, because you didn't sign up for any of this. This wasn't on any job description. The number of skills you've had to learn, the things you've had to do differently, you've had to do the same things differently. And you've done it. You've adapted. And you've learnt them in a tough time. So that means that when you face a challenge in future, think, right, we've done it before, we'll do it again. Together. So every morning, I want you to pick something up from your bedside table before you leave the house. You might not be able to see it, but oh, believe me, it's there. It's a medal, and I want you to wear it on your chest every day proudly, because it's your medal for 100% survival record. No matter how dreadful you've felt, no matter whatever, if you're watching this today, you still have 100% survival record, and I'd like you to wear that medal proudly. So what have we learned? I hope we've learned what matters and what doesn't matter, who matters and who doesn't matter. How our job isn't just a job. It's about the community. It's about the people we work with. I hope this awareness of others and looking after one another continues forever. Sometimes we've had to find the solutions within us because nobody else had the answers. So remember, you still have 100% survival record. You are still in the game.
He's quite a captivating speaker, isn't he? Thoroughly enjoyed that. I hope you guys got something from it as well. Just really remembering some of the basics, some of the things it's all too easy to forget. And that's thanking the people around us for the work that they do, for the hours that they put in. It doesn't matter what industry you guys are operating in. These have been very difficult, very stressful times. And simply saying thank you is often enough of a recognition, and it's something that we should all try and remember to do. So really happy to have listened to that, really happy to have had Ian on the webinar. And now we're going to give a warm welcome to our guest speaker, Maisie McKenzie.
Thank you so much for the invitation. If possible, could I have permission to share screen, please? Because I don't have the ability to share my slides. And whilst you're doing that, you've already said very kindly that my background has been in health. I worked in public health promotion for 10 years, and then 10 years after that, I worked in a community NHS trust, operational management for adult services. And then I did 2 years working in acute as a project manager. So I've got a background in health, and I really, that's where I got my foundation from. But underlying all of that, I always spent a lot of time working around mental health services, mainly counselling services, bereavement services, and cancer counselling services. And over the last 4 years, I've been working as a mental health first aid instructor with Mental Health First Aid England. And I'm just going to spend the next 20 minutes, nice and tight, just talking to you about some strategies to help you in relation to, there we go, supporting your mental health and well-being. I called it challenging environment because this is what we're talking about. Ian alluded to that quite strongly about this low-level stress, this ongoing, continuous environment we're living in, that's making us having to operate on a different level. So it's about looking at our resources, looking at all those things we were talking about. He mentioned earlier around resilience, all your resources, but all of the main thing for me is really about how you support yourselves. And this is what we'd like to talk to you about today. You spend so much time giving to others, supporting others. So what about you? How can you keep going? What strategies do you need to adopt to enable you to keep going and working at this high level, where this low level stress is continuing, but there's no end. We don't know what the end is going to look like, when it's going to be. Yes. So it's about trying to look at that. Let me whiz through these slides. They're going to take a bit of time, but you need the context. Talking about mental health, greater understanding of mental health and well-being, looking at techniques to invite some level of balance in regards to your mental health, and then finally quickly talk about some signposting and resources. Right. So briefly, we'll talk about mental health. I know you all know this, but it's really nice just to be on the same page. So we're using the same language, have the same understanding. We'll also talk about stress, mental health, and mental illness. look at these strategies, some helpful toolkits, not so much of that, but it's more about strategies and resources. And then if you want to go further with developing your knowledge, where you can go for that information. Okay, quickly reflect in your own time, in your head. You don't have to tell anybody or write it down. Just on a gauge, 1 to 10, where are you now? How are you feeling now? How are you feeling right now? What's your mood? What's your energy like? How do you feel about the world at the moment? How do you feel about life at the moment? Is it a good day for you? Is it a day where you're hopeful and positive? Is it a day that you feel quite tired, quite exhausted, quite anxious, quite stressed? Whatever that is, just put a word on it and just leave it there. Yes. So just hold on to that. How are you feeling right now? Okay. If I was to ask you what you understand about mental health, normally I ask people to type in the chat. But there's so many people here. It's going to be a bit of a. So I'm just going to show you some slides on what mental health is. Most of you know this already, but it's really about just getting people to think in the same way. So mental health, as I understand it, and as I work with it as a mental health first aider, and it comes from World Health Organization as a definition, and it's about a state of well-being where every individual realizes his or his own potential, can cope with the stresses of everyday life, and can work productively and fruitfully, and are able to contribute to his or her own community. And this manifests itself or shows itself by the way we think. Are we positive? Are we hopeful? Looking forward to? Welcoming? Got something to look forward to in life. It's the way we feel. Again, are we excited about things? Are we looking forward to that new challenge? Yeah. The way we behave, lots of energy, quite stimulated, feel quite challenged, feel quite happy, excited. Yeah. And just our general sense of well-being. Yeah. So that thing about resilience, how we respond to particular situations. How do we deal with stress and challenge? Yeah, is it something we deal with positively, can manage, move it along, or is it something that we quite find quite difficult? The big thing is around mental health, which you all know, so I'm taking it for granted we all know this because of the work you all do, is that we all have mental health. The big thing is there's no health without mental health being holistic. It's linked very closely to our physical health, which we know. Poor mental health can have an impact on your physical health and the other way round. Our mental health is individual. So what's good for me may not be good for somebody else. It's different and it's individual. And most of all, it changes. Our mental health changes how we feel about ourselves, how we look about life, how we look forward to things or not. And it can change within the day, it can change within the hour, yeah? So our mental health can change. Okay, let's carry on. So thinking about mental health, and now we're going to think about mental health, ill health, diagnosis, challenge. I can't see this now. So just questions, just think in your own heads, which I know you know the answer to, you don't have to shout it out. If I were to ask you these questions, 1 in 4 people will have a mental health issue or condition in any given year. What's your answer? True or false? Type in chat. I don't know if you can shout out. I haven't got a problem with it, but 106 people shouting out at one time might be quite a lot. Thoughts? I'll just give you the answer straight away, just because of time. The answer is true. So 1 in 4 people at any one time, yes, will have had a mental health condition or issue in any given year. So if we're looking at the group now, 100 people, that's 25 people. 25 people at this moment in time, yes, on this platform, on this conversation. Next, thinking about the workplace, 1 in 6 people, working age people, will have symptoms associated with mental ill health, yes. That could be sleep problems, fatigue, which do not meet the criteria for a diagnosis. Is that true or false? The answer is true. So in your workplace, 1 of 6 people will be demonstrating these signs and symptoms. Have you noticed? Have you asked them what's going on? Yes. Is it you? You could be the 1 in 6. I could be the 1 in 4. Yes. 35% of mental illnesses, excluding dementia, start before the age of 18. Is that true or false? 35%, quite a low number. That seems quite reasonable. Well, actually, it's not. It's a lot higher than that. It's about 75% of mental illnesses start before the age of 18. We're talking about young people, teenagers, 14 to 18. We think they're hormonal. We think that it's adolescence. They've got a few spots. They're sulky. They sleep a lot. They're quite snappy. Actually, it might be because they're bullied. They're being harassed. They're being sexually abused. They could be racially abused. They could be part of a trafficking situation. Could be drugs. Could be alcohol. Could be all of these things. Online bullying, harassment. That's the start, yes? And it could go unnoticed. And it's sitting and sitting and sitting there until it emerges at a later stage. Start drinking too much, having a different relationship with foods, snapping at you as their parents. Yes, look out for that. It's not just their adolescence, it's hormonal, it could be something else. So ask the question. In the UK, suicide affects equal numbers of men and women, true or false. Lots of stuff has been now talked about with suicide, so most people know that it's not true. Men are more likely to die by suicide, 76% than women, usually because of the fact, because if men have a mental health concern, depression, anxiety, low mood, unlikely to talk about it because of the stereotypes, because of the pressures we put on men. They're expected to behave in a certain way, not going to show this area of weakness, to talk to people about what's going on, start self-medicating, which may lead to suicidal thoughts and then suicidal behavior. And also the means men take in order to manage or also to end their lives are much more brutal. It will be the hanging, yes? It will be the guns and the knives. It won't be the medication. So the likelihood of them being found and things turn around is less likely because they use more brutal means. Okay, so that's mental health. So I talk about mental health because it puts us all on the same page, but we know it's difficult to talk about mental health. But there's one thing we can talk about, and I think this is why I've come here today, and this is this. Oh, I don't want to show that. It's about stress. Yes, and Ian talked about it. Even though we're trying to be giving out to people, we're still receiving all of these external pressures, yeah, that are having an impact on our lives. It causes a strain mentally and physically on our lives, yes? And it's due to all the pressures and strains that we're not able to respond to. In this particular situation, which Ian talked about with COVID, it's coming all the time. We know there's no end to it. Yeah, we don't know when it's going to end, how it's going to end, what it's going to mean for me on a personal level, for my family, my friends, and myself, for my work. Do I have to take the jab? If I don't take the jab, will I lose my job? Yes. If I get COVID, yes. Will I survive? How long is this going to last? So we've got these external pressures and stress that are on us, which have a huge impact on our lives. Yes. This is what you notice when someone's stressed. It's lots of pressure, changes in your life, worrying about things, having no control, having not enough work, having too much work. How does that sound? Is that familiar to you? Don't answer, just think about it yourself, yes or no. If it is, are you noticing any of these signs and symptoms? Are you irritable, aggressive, tearful, not participating in everyday activities that you used to enjoy? Am I sleeping too much? Am I drinking too much caffeine, too much chocolate, or maybe chocolate, I like chocolate, alcohol, cigarettes, or am I self-medicating? Yeah, prescribed or unlicensed medication. Yes. What's my behavior like? Have I lost my confidence? Yes. Is this behavior I'm noticing for myself or other people? What else is happening for me? Low self-esteem, low mood. The way I talk about myself. I'm not good enough. I'm not good at this. I've always been used at this. My self-chatter, what's that like? What's my relationship to food? Yes. What's my sleeping like? And again, those strategies. How am I managing? How am I feeling? Physically, am I taking time off work with headaches or tummy aches? Am I saying I'm constantly tired? Am I losing weight or gaining weight? Am I getting lots of coughs and colds or aches and pains? Or am I generally run down? At work, am I at work for long hours if I'm able to go in face to face? Am I starting early? Even if I'm working from home, am I starting early? Am I finishing late? Am I on the screen all the time, but actually not doing very much? Am I not producing in the way I used to produce because I just don't know how to do it? Am I not asking for help? Yes. Am I not managing my workload? Do I feel unsupported? So think about those things for myself or others. Am I demonstrating any of these signs? So I want you to think about what's coming into your stress container at the moment. What are the things that are pouring into my container at the moment? Yes. Do I know what those things are? It's not a great slide, but it gives you an idea. Is it one of these things? My family, my friends, my significant others? Am I concerned about people? Yeah. Is it my home environment? Is it my work? Am I getting too many emails that I can't respond to? Am I being overstretched because of lack of staff? Am I covering 2 units as opposed to 1? Yes. Am I doing double shifts, not getting enough breaks? Am I not taking a break? What's coming into my stress container? And how am I managing my stress? Am I snapping? Yes. Am I not being involved in conversation? Am I not taking on those additional activities? Am I not helping others? Yes. What we need to do is identify some positive strategies to help us during these particular periods of difficulty and change. And at the bottom of this stress container, you can see a little tap. It looks like a sheep's head. We have to turn on a regular basis to develop some healthy strategies which will help us manage our stress. Because if that tank gets full up and overflows, we start to behave badly, and we don't want to do that. We want to start behaving well. So we need to identify some positive coping strategies that can help us manage our stress. Now let's think about what. So I want you to just to reflect and think about the stress that's coming into my container and how am I behaving? Do I recognize any of those signs and symptoms myself? Do I need to start managing my stress? And why am I asking you the question about why it's important to manage my stress? Yes. Remember, stress, yeah, it's part of that fight or flight continuum. Cortisol's rising, it's up and up, pressure rising in our body. If we don't release it through positive strategies, it only causes harm to ourselves physically and mentally. It can cause problems. The high blood pressure, the diabetes, yes, it leads to the strokes and heart attacks. We know that, stress and pressure. But over and above that, mentally, too much stress can lead to a mental health concern. It can lead to a mental health diagnosis. It can be an early sign for depression, for anxiety, yes, for psychosis, for your bipolar disorder, for your schizophrenia. It can lead to those things. So stress, if not managed, can lead to a physical health and a mental health diagnosis and concern. Yes, I won't show that slide, that takes a bit of talking to. But the thing is, what stops us talking to people about what's going on for us? Is it the shame? Is it the fact that people will see me as being less than in my work? Is it because the people I work for are not sympathetic or supportive? Will people think less of me or not understand what's going on? Or if they know I've got a concern, there'll be that issue about stigma and discrimination, and they'll treat me differently because of that. What stops someone listening? So if somebody tells you, oh gosh, I felt really tired yesterday, I wasn't able to do that email that you sent me, I wasn't able to cover that piece of work, I wasn't able to do that audit that you asked me to do, yeah, because I didn't feel myself. If someone tells you that, what's your response going to be? Are you going to be judgmental? Oh my God, it's not her again, going on about whatever it is. I haven't got time for this, I'm much too busy. I might say, it can't be all that bad, yeah? You'll get through it, don't worry, yeah, it's okay. We think we know what the person needs. Oh, just go home, get a coffee, just relax, you'll be okay, yeah? We try and make things better because it makes us feel really uncomfortable, because we don't like to hear distressing things. We don't like to hear bad news, yes? We don't like to hear difficult conversations. And on top of that, we've got our own stress to worry about. I haven't got time to be listening to you about what's going on for you. Can you imagine, if I was to tell you what's happening in my life, yeah, you'd be really surprised. So that's what stops people listening. We're judgmental. Yeah, sometimes we think, we have stereotypes about people, about how they should or shouldn't behave. And as a result of that, it stops us listening. Sometimes we think we might make it worse if we do respond, or we might get a negative response. They might tell you to mind your own business. You might be too busy. You might feel you haven't got enough knowledge or awareness. You might feel if I talk to this person and someone sees me talk to this person, they might think that we're in the same club together, and I don't want that to happen. And on top of that, it's not my job, it's above my pay grade. I haven't got time to be doing this. But it's really important to recognize, we all know from the information I shared at the beginning, mental health concerns are common, the 1 in 4, the 1 in 6. Yes, we have a duty of care in our organisations through Health and Safety 1974, the Equality Act 2010 with protected characteristics, to look after people with mental health concerns. And if you went to an employment tribunal and they found out that someone was demonstrating signs and symptoms that indicated they had a mental health concern and you did nothing about it, you would lose at that tribunal. Yes? So as an employer, you have to support people if they're showing signs and symptoms and they tell you they've got a mental health concern. So what is it we need to be doing? Yes? Start those conversations. Look at the things we need to be doing. Be non-judgmental. So listen and communicate non-judgmentally, asking questions, listening to their response, reflecting back, open-ending questions, allowing for silences. Because this might be the first time this person has ever spoken about this situation and they've chosen you as a person they want to speak to. Speak calmly. Demonstrate a level of confidence. Yes, if you don't know, say you don't know, but I know someone who can help. Tell me more. I want to hear more. I heard you say. Think about the non-verbal communication, about eye contact, how you're sitting. You're not on your computer when they're talking to you. You're turning and looking at the person. You're asking them to sit down. If they're standing up, maybe standing up, if that's what they prefer to do. Listen actively and carefully. Look at the things you need to do. It's all about being empathetic, being genuine, being non-judgmental and being kind. I know you do this anyway, but it's just reminding you. Avoid making assumptions. You know, just because she is, yeah, ask. Everybody's different, and we can't make stereotypes, and don't make stereotypes because everybody's different. And if you're not sure what they're saying, ask them to clarify. And be careful of your stereotypes and how you put people into different pigeonholes, because it can restrict people from having conversations and it can restrict you from listening. Also, I said follow up in writing, and if you need to, make a referral to a professional, because that's what you need to do. Encourage professional support or encourage the person to seek other support. Now, thinking about managing your stress, because we talked about those conversations, this is what the evidence base suggests you need to do. You need to find healthy strategies to manage your stress. Whatever that is, you need to find it. These are the things you can consider looking at. Get a rhythm to your day, a good start, a good stop. If you're not out in the office anymore, working face-to-face, working from home, do that work to the train station as if you're going to work. Then walk back. That's your exercise. Yes? We're not walking to and from the coffee machines anymore. Walk around the block at your break times. At the end of the day, go again for that walk to the tube station and walk back again, just like you're walking from work. Yes? Get your exercise. Keep physically active. Have your lunch breaks, get that rhythm. Eat well. It's easy to get that little snack, yes? Make yourself a decent lunch, eat well. Alcohol in moderation. How you value yourself. You know, that self-talk is really important. How do I talk about myself? Yeah? Don't say I'm silly. Oh, it's, what do you expect? I always do things like that. Why would you ask me to do something like that? Because I'm quite silly. No, don't do those things. Yes? Self-talk is really important. Talk about your feelings. I'm not having a good day. I hope you don't mind. Have you got 5 minutes? I'm not having a good day. Can you help me with? You'd be surprised in the response that you might get. Keep in touch with family and friends. The whole thing about the COVID now is that we're not having that connection, that warmth, yeah? And it's really important to help balance that cortisol, get that cortisol down. That whole thing about touching, stroking, warm baths, all that kind of stuff. Connection with others helps you manage your stress and balance your stress. Be kind. Helping someone else. That give back you get from that can really have an impact. Get involved and learn new skills. Do something creative or take a break. But most important, ask for help. It's really important to find that one thing that you like. And if it's not working, find something else. Your yoga, your meditation, you're walking, you're swimming, you're going to the park, you're walking the dog, whatever that is. Find it, do it. If it's not working, change it. Yeah? Write letters, ring your friends, I don't know. All those things you like to do. Yes, you're gardening, you're digging in your allotment, knitting, whatever. Find it. And make sure you're turning that tap on very frequently. You might do something every day. No problem with that. Yeah. Find those key things that make a difference to your life. So it's about developing positive health strategies. If you can't avoid a stressful situation, try and alter it. Yeah. Change it. Can't be dealing with that. Maybe ask somebody else. Look at the way you view the stress. It might be you take a break from the stress, share the stress, talk to somebody about it. Take a breath, pause. Whatever the situation is, step away, take a breath and pause, talk to somebody, come back refreshed and reviewed. By quietening the mind, stilling the mind sometimes can really help. It's really important to be aware of your unhealthy coping mechanisms. Am I drinking too much? Am I sitting in front of the TV all the time, eating too much pizza, not getting enough exercise? All those things, find out what they are. It's okay for a short period of time, but in the long term, in order to manage your stress, you need to get rid of it. And if you can't manage to deal with the stress properly, try to reframe it. Try and look at it as an opportunity, yes, a challenge, but if it's too much, pass it on. Okay, so it's really important. It may be that you need to think about seeking professional help. Yes, if you know something's wrong or you notice you're talking to somebody and they say there's something wrong, if you've got an employees assistance program, fine, refer on to that. If not, speak to the GP. You can self-refer to IAT. Is that improving access to psychological therapy? If you're known to mental health services, which some of us are, then you do need to make contact with them. Yes, so please do that. Also, you can encourage other support. You can talk to the Samaritans and talk to somebody's helplines and just have a chat with people with how you're feeling. Yes, it's really important to talk. Leave that one. It's really important to look after your own health and well-being and look at positive support mechanisms and triggers when supporting others. Is it clear what your stress signature is? So if you were to ask a friend what it looks like when I'm stressed, could they tell you? And if you don't know, you need to find that out yourself. You need to find some coping mechanisms to help you manage your stress. If they're not working, change them. Yes, really important. Okay. So that's it, really. That's me, really quick. So if people are interested, Mental Health First Aid do a whole range of courses to help you become better at listening to people. And I do those courses as well. So these are the courses: half day, 1 day and 2 day. Really good courses. I'd recommend them. I'm sure some of people have done them already. After 3 years, good to refresh. And that's me. Okay. So the question is, ask that information, just reflect on yourself, knowing what you know now. How are you feeling? Hopefully a bit better than when we started. Even though I had to race and gallop through that, hopefully you got some information that was useful to you.
Maisie, thank you so much for coming on, especially at such short notice, and sharing a lot of that expertise with us all. Really appreciate it. Every time I hear mental health first aiders talking about these things that are obviously so passionate about, can't help but get caught up in it. So thank you so much. And I think to the audience, it doesn't really matter whether you've attended this course, because perhaps you actually have this as part of your role, either within the NHS or private healthcare, or further afield in another industry, or you're simply coming along for the ride to learn something for yourself, your own techniques, coping strategies. I think the lessons are equally applicable for everybody in the room. And I think it's so important to take those basic steps, and remember that if you do feel like you're struggling to cope, that the resources are out there, and that you are absolutely not alone. There's always somebody to speak to. So again, Maisie, thank you very much indeed.
My pleasure.
Good stuff, guys. So we are nearing the end of the session now. Normally we'd have a Q&A if it was more technical based presentation and webinar, but for the purposes of this one, it was much more of a hopefully an educational piece, and sharing some common thoughts and common interests. Thank you very much for attending. In terms of the resources that you've seen from either Ian or Maisie, we'll actually be publishing those resources along with this webinar up onto the Yorkshire Care website, which is www.yorkshirecareequipment.com. So all that's really left from us here is to say again, thank you to both Maisie and Ian. Thank you all for attending, and hopefully we will see you all on the next one, same time next month. Thanks a lot, guys.
Yeah.